Welcome back to the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show. Thank you for being with us on another weekend. How's your weekend going? Ours, we'll let you know next week how our weekend turned out. Well, Holly, we talked about watering is a priority in all gardens, and whether you have trees, shrubs, bushes, vegetables, house plants, whatever the case is, sometimes we forget to water. And with Tree Diaper, it takes the forgetfulness that we have out of the equation.
Absolutely. Tree Diaper is a revolutionary watering system that slowly releases water on the base of any tree or plant as the soil dries. The Tree Diaper is filled with water from rain or when you water, and slowly releases the water over 3 weeks. No overwatering, underwatering to worry about.
It works.
Yeah, with the Tree Diaper, every time it rains, the Tree Diaper recharges. No pipes, hoses, or electricity needed. You can water your plants and trees, whether they're down by the house, the road, the back 40, etc. It works under mulch, too. Whether you're a first-time gardener or advanced, Tree Diaper will improve the way you water your plants. Made in the USA, you can find all the information and sizes they have available at treediaper.com. That's treediaper.com.
Well, fall is summer. The great line from the office, Holly. Summer had to end sometime. You know, when Mike was looking at the tree in the park. So summer has to end sometime.
I mean, I'm excited. I'm like, you know, when Dwight wears the pumpkin on his head.
Don't for you if you've seen don't put pumpkins on your head. That is not a good thing to do.
Not especially my head.
Nobody's head. You don't put a pumpkin on anybody's head. Don't do that. It's bad.
Anyway, but Dwight can do it. So
we'll let that be for him.
Yes.
So there's a number of
people now who watch The Office that are very excited.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
Those are the money beats.
You want to think about your fall prep.
Right. And there's many things in which, based on how large your property is, if you got 100 acres or you got 1 acre, or you got a fifth of an acre, there's things in which you can do. The list is longer the more acreage you have, obviously. But here's some things in which you may want to think about or start looking at or preparing for on your property. One, the use of leaves. Most people who have property have a tree or trees that are going to produce a lot of free mulch for you, whether you mulch them or you use them as whole leaves in your garden or around your perennials or around your flower beds. That is free. Don't give it to the city for them to compost. Compost it yourself or just make a big pile in the corner and use that stuff. It's free. Don't give it away. I
learned today
that
so like maybe you don't want to do anything with your leaves and you just mow over them and you let them do their thing because they biodegrade in like 3 months.
Right. Nothing wrong with that.
No, but I've learned that some HOAs or housing, whatever those people are called, HOAs.
Yeah, HOAs. Homeowners associations.
Yeah, some of them don't allow you to just let your leaves sit. You have to.
We don't have it. Yeah. That's a whole other show.
No, it's a whole other show. But so if you have a friend who has an HOA that can't let their leaves sit and they bag them up or whatever,
take them.
Yeah. If they're not going to use them, take them.
And here's the thing with the leaves when they fall on the ground. There's some people that may be concerned, well, if the grass was sprayed with a 2,4-D or a weed and feed or something like that, if the leaves set on the grass long enough, will it absorb that poison? And then when you put on the garden, will it disperse that poison into the garden? No, it's not going to do that. That poison is in the leaves. Nothing that I've seen shows that if the leaves set on the grass for X amount of time, it will absorb into the leaf. And so save the leaves, get the leaves from other people. Leaves are a fun activity to let the kids play with, but also your garden likes it too. There's a lot of It's living. It's a mulch. It's a free mulch. You don't have to do anything for it. Another thing you want to do is look at, if you care about your lawn, you can feed your lawn in the fall, Holly.
Yeah, so that's like a thing. I don't know a ton about lawn care, but I do know that you feed your lawn in the fall.
And you can also seed in the fall too.
You can also seed in the fall. And I had mentioned, I think last week, that my sister was
2 weeks ago when we had Steve Bender on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That my sister was seeding her grass in this one portion of her front yard, and it's been very successful. So I should remember to tell her to feed her lawn this fall. So what you're going to do is you're going to, a week after you mow the lawn for the last time for the season, or what you hope is the last time for the season, is you apply a slow release granular fertilizer. So you would go to your local garden center and say, hey, I want to feed my lawn. What's a good slow release granular fertilizer?
Well, you want to do your research because they will push whatever the brand is or the big boy brand, or you want to figure out what brand is best for your.
I mean, you should do your research, but maybe you don't have time. So
and then you get a Chapin fertilizer spreader, and away you go with feed your lawn.
It's highly recommended to use a fertilizer spreader.
For proper distribution.
And it's not hard to push. If you can push a lawnmower, if you can push a shopping cart, you can push a fertilizer spreader.
Not bad at all. Now, your sister, my sister-in-law, she seeded grass in the front yard. She went with the more, I guess, economical way instead of purchasing sod and laying the sod in. That is an option. You can do that. Either way, you do need to make sure you have enough time from the time you put that in the ground for it to take off or root before the hard winter comes in your particular area. So you want to feed the lawn if you care about it. Don't if the bag says do XYZ, don't add more XYZ to it. You're going to waste material, you're going to waste money, and you're actually over-fertilizing is just as bad as under-fertilizing or not fertilizing at all.
A lot of times fertilizer works, well, most of the time, it works at the roots. So you're feeding the roots. A lot of them do have a high nitrogen component, but a lot
which is the first number on your bag.
Which it adds the green to the grass, etc., green to your plants. But a lot of them also have a lot of phosphorus. That's the one that does the roots, right? NPK. K is
potassium.
Yeah, phosphorus. And so what will happen is that if you overdo it, the roots will grow, but then they'll choke each other out, and then that becomes a problem in itself.
But now, based on where you're at, versus if you got warm season grass or cool season lawn, it depends on when you feed it and what you feed it with. So one measurement or one type doesn't fit all for this. We're speaking more of the northern climate gardener. We've had a tremendous amount of downloads from this is a duplicate. What you're listening now duplicates as a podcast on our parent website, the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com, and all podcast platforms. And we've seen a tremendous amount of downloads out of the Dallas and Sacramento area the last couple of weeks. So thank you for that. I have some theories on why that is happening, but I'll keep that to myself. But thank you very much for that. What's another thing, Holly, in which we need to think about before the winter comes?
You want to look at your tree limbs.
Look up.
So if you see...
Widowmakers. Do you know what a widowmaker is, Holly?
Yes.
Okay, well, yeah.
How would I not know what a widowmaker is?
I don't know.
Just stop it.
Okay. For those who don't know what that term is
basically any large tree or branch that could fall off. This is so sexist, by the way.
Well, I didn't make the term up. I didn't. This is not me at all.
That would fall off of a tree or what have you, or a tree that would fall over. Say you send your.
It would go either way. If a woman was camping or got hit, it would be widowed.
That's a widower.
A widower.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Anyway, so it's an old school logging term, basically. So you send your spouse off to go logging, and then they do some situation where the tree falls on them, and then you become.
It's used in camping as well.
Camping as well. Send your man friend out to the woods.
Okay. But you want to look up because as the wind blows and the snow and the ice load and all of that, these things can fall on power lines. These things can fall on your house. Now, it
could be a power line killer or whatever. Yeah.
If you see this dead in the canopy, dead. I don't want to say dead growth because it's dead, but it's not growing. You want to remove that. If you cannot safely remove it, then you want to hire a certified arborist to come in and get that out of your. Off the tree, because
the reason this is important is because if you live in a climate that has snow and that huge branch,
even if you live in a climate like in the Boston area, they have hurricanes come through. We're on WCRN 830 out there. Them things are projectiles, and you want to take care of these things before tomorrow, when the next day is the storm coming.
Right, and you
proactive.
If you're not sure about it, even if you might not want to remove it or don't think it needs to be removed, contacting an arborist is smart either way. So you can get a a good guess on what's going on with it.
Right. So yeah, we can do that, and we want to hire a certified arborist if we can't do it ourselves, Holly.
Absolutely. So you also want to pull weeds that look like they are going to go to seed, so that you're not leaving those seeds in the garden to come back up.
Right.
Back up next spring.
With the arborist, people are like, well, I don't want to pay $800 for the. Okay, so let's look at the alternative. You don't pay $800 and you try to do it yourself and you have no business doing it, and you've got a $15,000 hospital bill, if not a funeral.
Right.
So there you go. Pulling the weeds out if they're going to seed. Because if you do not do this prior to them going to seed, Holly, then you have a whole, the garden has already planted itself with foxtail and creep and anything else that, lamb's quarter, whatever you got.
It's a whole other bad can of worms.
Yes. It's already done it. Thistles is another thing that will go to flower and create a big mess.
One thing I want to touch on, aside from make sure you pull those weeds, is if you have any diseased plants, you want to toss those. You don't put those in your city to pick up. You don't put them back in your garden. You don't put them in your compost. You put them in a trash bag and you put them in the trash. Because a lot of those diseases, whether the plant is diseased, if it looks questionable, whatever, a lot of those diseases don't die off over winter, especially if they're going to like the huge city compost pile. It might not get cold enough for it to kill that disease. And if you burn it, a lot of these diseases are airborne. If you put in your own compost, if you put it back in your garden, you're just going to recreate that disease. So you just want to make sure you just toss them. So
we want to also trim back our perennials, the ones that should be trimmed, not just everything gets trimmed. So you want to be careful about that, because we've got numerous questions. Why doesn't my flower bloom? Why doesn't my this bloom? Well, did you trim it last year? Yes. Well, you've trimmed all the buds off of it, so it's not going to bloom this year. So you want to only trim back the things in which you're supposed to, like ornamental grasses. You can trim them all the way back to the ground, or you can leave them all winter long, and they add a nice accent as the wind blows with the snow and all the decoratorial aspects that it provides for you. So those are just some of the handful or dozens based on how large your property may be. Another thing is, you want to be safe about this, but you also want to make sure that your gutters, once most of the leaves have fell, you want to make sure the gutters are clean, so you don't have buildup of issues with snow and ice and water backing up underneath the shingles and rotting out your eaves and causing a whole lot of mess there too. Well, yeah, exactly. So, summer is over, Holly. Kids are back in school in most areas, and the nights are getting a little more cold. But let's be honest, you probably have forgotten about your lawn. We've talked about it, but did you really think about it before we brought it up? No. But no. Okay. I don't really think about my lawn that much, just because it's fall. It cares about you.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. Just because it's fall doesn't mean we want to forget about our yards and those Japanese beetles. They may be gone, but they're not far. Not only did they feast on your roses and berries this summer, they laid eggs in your turf so that they can start again next year. You can take a stand with Phylum's Grub Gone. Grub Gone is a non-chemical Bt granular that specifically targets scarab pests and their larvae. You apply the granule with a spreader, irrigate it into the soil, and let the naturally occurring bacteria do its job. Not only is it easy to use, but is the only non-chemical choice when it comes to effectively controlling grubs. And the best part about it, it's non-toxic to bees and other pollinators. In fact, Grub Gone has no label restrictions. I will say that again. It has no label restrictions for use around flowering plants, so you don't have to be cautious and make sure you don't get anything on them that the bees and other pollinators would take back to their hives and kill the hives or toxify the hives. Grub Gone from Phylum Bioproducts, the natural choice. Find all that out and more at phyllumbioproducts.com. That's PHYLLOM bioproducts.com. And when you go there and you get Grub Gone, you can use, to save 10% on your order, coupon code GARDENTALK10 at checkout. All coupon codes are available at our parent website, the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com, underneath the Money tab, if you've missed any of them. For more information, please visit the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com.